Welcome back to Face the State on this Sunday morning. Protesters are calling on Governor Lamont to open the state earlier than May 20th. They demonstrated at the state capitol and the governor's residence in Hartford's West End this past week. So what do they want? With us now, two of the organizers, Jonathan Johnson and Colin McNamara. And gentlemen, thank you so much for being with us here this Sunday morning.
Morning, Dennis. Thanks for having me.
And Jonathan, I'm going to begin with you. So first of all, tell us where you got this idea to have this rally, this demonstration, and how you put it together.
Well, we wanted to do something to make sure that the people's concerns about what's going on here were being addressed. And what we came up with was to run a rolling car rally, which we held on Monday, April 20th. And we're actually going to have another one this coming Monday from 5 to 7 p.m. at the Capitol. And we wanted to do something that was a peaceful protest, but it was also something that was effective. So what we came up with was to do a rolling car rally. That way, we can still maintain social distancing, and we are urging people to obey all traffic laws, to stay in their cars, to allow emergency vehicles through, but to be able to speak to the people who are concerned about that their rights are being suspended, that their assembly and free speech is being, and their ability to provide for their families, to run their businesses, to the restricted use of our parks, the initiation of the use of drones and citations to enforce social distancing, and all this domestic spying that's being proposed as part of a reopen of Connecticut, like GPS tracking and digital contact tracing. And I'm sure there's many more reasons why people came out and rallied with us on Monday.
Colin, I want to bring you into this discussion. Do you agree with Jonathan and that the state should be reopened sooner?
Thanks for having me. I just wanted to say before I begin that I'd like to say thank you for all the healthcare professionals out there and the essential workers that are doing their best in this time of crisis. And we're all in this together, but we have to be smart about how we move forward and be calculated, and we can't kind of sit on our hands. Now, Jonathan is associated with the Libertarian Party, and that's who helped kind of launch his protest. I caught wind of it, and I'm just an average citizen that's concerned about what's going on in our state, so I founded a group called hashtag OpenCTNow on Facebook and helped promote the fact that they were having this peaceful rolling rally. That I thought was a great idea. We really need to bring more attention to the fact that there isn't a lot of public input into the decision making that's going on from citizens and elected officials of what's happening at the Capitol right now. And I definitely share the privacy concerns. They rolled back the Westport drone program that they had proposed, but those are real world issues that are going to be affecting everybody's life coming up. They're talking about doing like the contact tracing, and we have to push back on that, because as Americans, we have our Fourth Amendments against unreasonable searches or seizures, and we have to hold the line and proceed with caution.
Jonathan, do you believe the state should reopen right now?
Well, we're looking at the number of infections, and we're looking at the studies such as the USC study and what's happened in Santa Clara County. We're looking at what's the data that's coming out of New York City now, and we're calling for data fluidity. We're calling for there to be a real look at the numbers and the projections. When we were told that COVID-19 was coming, we were told that 90 to 150 million people were going to get sick, and that there was going to be a 2 to 4% mortality rate, and they were projecting 2.2 million deaths. And then that number got brought down to 250,000, and now 100,000, and then 80,000, now it's 60,000. And what we're seeing is that the data is starting to show that this was a much wider infection than we originally projected, that it's going to have a much lower mortality rate than originally projected, and that according to the CDC, it's saying that there's only been about 5,500 deaths under the age of 65, which says if you're over 65, if you have comorbidities, if you have pre-existing conditions, as we reopen, we need to continue to urge these people to take personal protective equipment, continue social distancing, make sure you don't get sick. But for everybody else, we could be open now. And why is Walmart open and Stop and Shop's open and they're not getting people sick, but a small business down the street is totally closed?
Colin, what do you think should be opening right now? Or when do you think that these businesses should reopen?
I share the concerns that I don't understand why a big box store that may have a footprint of a 50,000 square foot building is operating with a skeleton crew of staff and is expected to uphold the guidelines that have been provided by the state. I think it's much smarter to give that option to small business owners who have a small square foot store, could allow only a couple customers in. Then they'd be able to at least maintain their livelihoods to some fashion instead of being shut down. It would give them options. They also have a much more vested interest in keeping their customers safe, a lot of them on first name basis. And that money that they spend locally is going to be going back into the economy through them using restaurants or even paying their property taxes. The revenue generated through retail goes back to the state. When you have a big box store bringing in a ton of money, a lot of those dollars are leaving our local economy and going to a tax shelter that isn't in Connecticut.
Have either of you reached out to your state representatives or state senators or mayors or first selectmen to voice these complaints?
So I'll let Jonathan answer that question first.
Well, what I think we've seen is we've seen both on the Democrat and the Republican side, people being mute to the assertion of the people, which is they want to have their rights back. The people say that they are upset that private businesses have been closed. They've been locked in their houses. They shut down our churches. The governor has infringed our right to assemble. They forced us to wear masks. They've closed our schools. They've closed our parks. They've forced us to social distance. There's a lot of different reasons that people are upset, and we don't see any representation on either side of the aisle stepping forward. And this is where the Libertarian Party of Connecticut comes in. We believe in your individual rights and freedom every day. You have the right to make your own medical choices. You have the freedom to take safety precautions without the government forcing you into a house arrest and closing private businesses and forcing people to go broke.
Gentlemen, I want to ask you about a couple of protesters who were out there, and on the back of one car, on the windshield, the back windshield, it said, "My rights are more important than your health." Do you support that statement? Colin, I'll begin with you.
I didn't get an opportunity to answer the last question, but I'll take this one. Everybody's rights collectively are important, but America was founded on individual rights and liberties. So if we sacrifice our individual rights and liberties for a collective, we're going to be living in a country that isn't America. And that's what is really at stake here. This is an ever-expanding program they want to implement, and it uses a lot of technology that you can't really opt out of. So we have to be very cautious moving forward, and we should be doing it in the smartest way that's going to benefit the most amount of citizens in the state.
Jonathan, there was also another car that had a swastika painted on it. Are you afraid that perhaps these protests are bringing out people that might not help your cause?
So at our protests, we didn't, there was one out of 1,000 protesters, as a registered citizen reported, that was there. And, the thing is, people from all walks of life, all demographics were there. And, here's the thing, we live in America. We live in a country with freedom and liberty, and there is an inherent danger. We go to ball games. Everyone wants to go to a ball game, into their church, and to a concert, and there's germs around. There's and there's viruses and there's colds. And every single year, between 45,000 and 85,000 people die of the flu alone. And I understand that COVID-19 has been a very serious threat. We respect and deeply appreciate all the hospital staff who've really taken the fight, and they've put their own personal safeties on the line. It really takes special people to be doctors and nurses, but we believe that people have the individual liberty to make medical choices for themselves. And we were, we've seen, based on the actual experience with this virus, that 2.2 million deaths all the way down to where we're at 60,000. Governor Lamont doesn't want to be made.
I'm sorry to cut you off, Jonathan and Colin. We are out of time. We have to hit that next commercial break. But gentlemen, thank you so much for being with us. Colin McNamara and Jonathan Johnson, we thank you for your insight today.
Open seat team now.
Finally today, our moment of calm, though you may chuckle a bit at this one. Statues throughout the capital city are sporting masks to remind people of the executive order now in effect. Enjoy your Sunday, everyone.